The Turning Stone Casino in upstate New York is primed to host Friday Night Fights presented by Verona Extra. Tonight in our main event, tough veteran Brian Vera has been on a run up the rankings. Now he returns to the same arena where 8 weeks ago he beat a recent titleist. Vera will face the 17-win Lithuanian veteran Donatas BONDAS.
Friday Night Fights here in Verona, New York. Fan favorite Ruslan Prevodnikov is here at Turning Stone Casino. I had a chance to catch up with Ruslan to talk about that controversial decision in his world title challenge against Timothy Bradley, as well as his future. Ruslan also told me that he is definitely staying at 147. We've watched him grow here on Friday Night Fights, and he admitted that he's having a little trouble dealing with his newfound fame. International show tonight, Joe, as we got a Brazilian and a Cuban in the ring.
So glad you're with us here, Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas. Donatas BONDAS will be in our main event, taking on Brian Vera, a guy we're very familiar with, and a guy who now has some career momentum. Teddy, how do you see it?
Question to me right here tonight is whether or not Vera will score a layup against the much less experienced BONDAS. I don't think so. After all, it is March Madness, and the #1 seeds, the top seeds, well, they've been dropping like flies. I see a barn burner, believe it or not, with BONDAS. Much less experience, but a guy that covers up pretty good. He's a game guy. He punches straight. He doesn't have that experience, but against Vera, who's now 31 years old, who always makes good fights, I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. Vera made for a really good-looking fight last time we were here from the fans' perspective against the recent titleist in Zurich. So that's coming up in our main event. Teddy will have the fight plan and get you set for that live ringside just prior to the opening bell. The end of round number 3. Savigny had him hurt at the end of 2. Getting set for our main event includes Donatas BONDAS. Bernardo has more on him.
All right, Joe, Donatas BONDAS had 4 fights in 2002, but he became a pro boxer in earnest in 2009. Let's take a look at the fighter facts brought to you by the United States Marine Corps. Donatas BONDAS had a strong amateur background with over 220 amateur fights, 190 victories, and 5-time Lithuanian national champion. He's won 5 fights in a row, including the last 3 by knockout, a pair of those 2 second-round knockouts over David Thomas. Why did he become so aggressive lately? Because he lost a controversial decision to Willie Fortune. That was in January of 2011 on the undercard of Evander Holyfield against Sherman Williams, and he said to himself, I will not leave it in the judge's hands. Tonight, here on Friday Night Fights, he steps up in class against Brian Vera, looking to do what the warrior from Austin has done to so many others, derail his dream of a world title shot.
And former Lithuanian amateur has been fighting as a pro out of Chicago, won 5 straight fights, and he also came to us this week and said, I'd like to be known as Donatas BONDAS when his formal name is Bondarovis, but he wants to go by BONDAS. So the truncated last name, we will see in our main event if we have a truncated fight, if Vera can get rid of him, or as Teddy says, we have something that's probably a little more competitive than most think.
Well,
We're going to take just a short break. More live action when we return, including the always eventful Brian Vera in our main event. Stay with us.
Friday Night Fights rolling on. We'll get you back out to Verona for a bonus fight. And then our main event, Donatas BONDAS and Brian Vera in the middleweight division. Todd Grisham back here in our Bristol studio. The big coming up in our main event, Brian Vera looks for another big win in the middleweight division.
ESPN Friday Night Fights. Maybe getting to his best days, Brian Vera. There he is, taking on Donatas BONDAS. That's coming up first. Once again, we say hello to Todd Grisham.
All right, that'll do it for us here in Bristol. Now back out to Verona, New York. It is our main event. Here's Joe and Teddy.
Thank you very much, Todd. Not quite sure I want to smell like Victor Ortiz, but I am sure that I want to see the main event here on Friday Night Fights, brought to you by Corona Extra here at Turning Stone in Central New York, where 8 weeks ago Brian Vera was in the same arena, headed to the same ring, but different career circumstances. That was a crossroads fight against a former titleist. Got a convincing TKO win. Now he's got momentum, a chance to cash in if he can get by Donatas Bondas, as many expect he can. We will see. Teddy is standing by ringside with the fight plan, brought to you by Corona Extra. Take it away, Teddy.
All right, first of all, let's start with Vera. I'll be Vera. What does he have in front of him? Well, with Bondas, he's a guy that you don't have to look for, and he likes to put the earmuffs on. You know, he goes into that peekaboo a little bit. And when you go into the peekaboo like that, well, where's the openings? Well, one of the openings is around the glove, right over here. Throw a little bit of a looping punch. And the good news to that, guess what? Vera likes to throw looping punches, especially the right hand, the looping right hand. So there can be an opening right there around the left glove. And also I noticed with Bondas, when he does this, the elbows come out a little bit, leaving a little opening downstairs. So if you're Vera, what do? Well, you put bats in the belfry and maybe a little water in the basement. The looping right hand, bang, right around here. And then slip over, bang, slip right over here, bang. Left hook to the basement. And if you do that, well, there'll be a little bit of a flood. Bondas will have to deal with that, and maybe he'll be drinking a little bit of soup for the next couple of days. Now, what can Bondas do to make this fight competitive, or better yet, to win this fight? Well, Vera, a little similar to Bondas, covers up also, but moves his head a little bit more. But while he's doing that, he's aggressive. And when he's aggressive, guess what? He leans forward a little bit. So I think there's going to be opportunities for Bondas. Bang, bang, catch him leaning forward with the uppercut. But also, one real thing to look for, I think, is where Vera, well, he likes to touch it to the body a little bit. You know, he jabs, but he reaches a little bit. Remember you were a kid, you used to reach for the hand in the cookie jar a little bit, and you got caught? What happened? Your hand got slapped a little bit? Well, look for Vera. He reaches a little bit, his hand in the cookie jar. Bondas has a good straight right hand. When he sees that, bang, straight right hand, slap that hand, the cookie jar, and then have a nice glass of milk and maybe a nice win from Mr. Bondas.
Well done, Teddy. A lot to think about between Vera and Bondas here as we get set for action. And there is Donatas Bondas. We told you he's from Lithuania, where his formal full last name is Bondarovas, but he wants to go by Bondas, a former amateur star over in Europe, moved to the U.S. in 2009. You see the 5 straight wins since his last loss, and 2 times he was the top medalist in his native country as an amateur. And Brian Vera, his last couple bouts, they've come against recent titleists Sergio Mora, and then here to start off the new year against Sergey Zinzirek in what was a very exciting fight. Had a knockdown in the 10th round after scoring 2 in the first round. There was a little bit of a comeback by Zinzirek in the middle rounds.
Good evening, Donatas. Good evening, Brian. You both know the rules. Make it a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves now. Come on, fighting at the bell.
You know, the beginning of a fight always important, Joe. You don't need me to tell you that, but it's also more and always more important when you have a guy like Bondas, who's a less experienced fighter, to get a good start, kind of like these NCAA basketball teams that are in there with the big dogs. You know, just to get a little confidence, not get blown out early, not get into a hole early, just get a little confidence that they belong, that they can do it. They can do what people don't expect them to do. Just got a little wave from Mickey Ward just a minute ago.
Mick came up with a nice win today.
Yeah, it was
He's
a nice
working
win
the quarter of the Cuban Savigny, who scored a knockout against Jackson Jr., so Mickey Ward sitting ringside. You know, to your point of starting well and gaining some confidence, Vera started really well when we saw him back in January. He scored the 2 knockdowns in the first round himself.
And you see a problem with Bondas. You see the bridge of his nose. He has some scar tissue there. His trainer told our people that, you know, that's happened a long time ago, and obviously nothing's been done to remove that scar tissue. It's on the bridge of his nose, and they will not be surprised if it opens up. I wonder if it has been opened up maybe recently, for them to be that honest with us and say, hey, don't be surprised if it opens up. Usually I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little, you know, immediately I start being cynical and say, well, if they're saying that, maybe it opened up a week or so ago in training. But so far, so good for Bondas, who's being the aggressor and trying to show that he belongs, trying to show not just to us that he belongs, but more importantly to himself. Because it is about confidence, it is about believing, as much as it is about left hooks and right hands.
It's a right hand by Vera.
Bondas has also been cut over his left eye, and talking about cuts, Vera cut over his left eye in his last fight, Joe, and there's scar tissue over the left eye of Vera. He's been cut there in 3 fights, and he has been involved in a little billy goating. You know, getting in there with his head a little bit where there's been head clashes in his fights. There's the right hand we talked about in the fight plan. That's exactly what we just talked about, getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar. I give credit to Bondas. He must have saw what I saw. He was prepared for that. He's got a nice straight right hand, a crispy right hand. Vera reached in with the jab to the body, which he tends to do. And Bondas, well, he knew what to do. He threw that right hand. He's going to get other opportunities for that, I believe.
That time he just missed trying to chop down with the right hand.
Vera likes to throw a looping right hand. And Bondas, well, as we said, he'll throw it straight for the most part. There's a little
10 seconds.
I see a little redness on the bridge of the nose of Bondas already.
Already that scar tissue that you gave us the background on earlier. Let's listen into the corner of Brian Vera, brought to you by the United States Marine Corps.
All right.
Good work.
Hey,
Good.
Cody's got over there from the punch.
Dang it. Okay.
All right.
Listen to me. You're doing beautiful, man. You got to keep your jab going. Listen, don't throw anything looping on this guy. Just throw him straight.
All right.
You're doing fine. But listen, he's just looking for that one overhand right shot. So you got to double up on your jab because he's timing you a little bit, okay? Don't let him time you. Beautiful job. Keep the jab going. All right? Busted up his nose. You already got it, okay? Mouthpiece. Here. Ryan, leave your head. Bobby Weave, give him some movement. He can't hit you anyway. So move on him. It's beautiful.
Take a look here from the last round. Talked about in the fight plan where Vera has a tendency to reach in with that jab and that there would be an opportunity for Bondas to time him with right hand. Bondas understood that, and that's exactly what he was looking to do. So a little smile from Vera. And boxing, smile means you got me.
Exactly. The conspicuous reveal there. Now let's show you the way that those at CompuBox saw things. The total punches, Vera landing 18 of 85. Bondas was 10 of 61.
Talked about Vera being involved in head clashes in his career. Bondas has been in fights where he's been warned for low blows and penalized for intentional headbutting. So not always an advocate or follower of the markers of Queensberry rules, Mr. Bondas. We'll see.
We asked Vera about that cut that was suffered over the left eye in the 8th round of his last fight back here on January 25. He described it as nothing more than a deep scratch. I suppose that falls in line with the same description as to the bridge of the nose of Bondas.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, it is boxing. They're not going to tell you anything that in their minds they shouldn't be telling you that might give an advantage to somebody or reveal a susceptibility to somebody.
There it is.
Bondas just fought on February 15th. That was against David Thomas. So back-to-back second-round TKO wins over Thomas. Fought him back in November.
And I have Bondas winning. I know it's very early. I have winning the first round. I have winning here. Have him doing just what I was talking about. You need to do, getting out of the gate in the NCAA tournament. You're one of those underdog teams. You got to show you belong with the big dogs. And so far, so good for Bondas, showing that he belongs and that he wants to belong.
Just got Vera's attention again. Shoe shining then came upstairs with the right hand. And now Vera trying to split the guard with the right hand of his own.
Bondas was knocked out in his 4th fight, Joe. Then he left to he quit boxing for 6 years and 10 months. I think it's just remarkable that he left at 163 pounds and he came back at 165 pounds, only a gain of 2 pounds after almost 7 years away.
Most of his fights in Europe in the early stage of his career. That knockout that you referred to took place in England in 2002. Then he came stateside in 2009, and he's been on a run to 17 wins since then.
Yeah, huge step up in class, obviously, for Bondas. A lot of people don't think he can handle it. We'll see. But other than his KO loss that we just talked about, his other 2 losses were very close, a split decision and a majority decision. There's that bleeding from the bridge of the nose of Bondas. But for me, it's another round in the bank, maybe, for Bondas.
End of 2.
Time!
Joe and Teddy with you for Donatas Bondas against Brian Vera. Brian Vera has worked his way up into position to be ranked #1 in the WBO behind the champ Peter Quillen. Quillen's got a fight coming up against Fernando Guerrero, who we've seen many times on Friday night fights. But some big opportunities being discussed out there for Vera, Teddy. Possibly wait for the mandatory title shot, or maybe go up against Golovkin or Matthew Macklin. But he needs to stay busy, stay active, and keep earning W's.
And that's what he's trying to do tonight. And sometimes when you're trying to stay active and just trying to keep W's going in that column, but sometimes you can misstep. And the one that you think was a tune-up fight, guess what? In the history of this sport, they've been shown sometimes to be a little bit more than a bump in the road, actually, for somebody who was trying to head towards a title fight. Those tune-ups can be dangerous, and right now Bondas is trying to prove that the tune-up for Vera, and Vera thinks of it as a tune-up, well, it will be a hole in the road.
Seen many guys sent off track. By the way, Teddy, there you see it right there. Rangers and Houston Astros, opening night of baseball on ESPN, presented by Burger King this coming Sunday, 8 o'clock. Major League Baseball back in action.
Yeah, it's that time of year again. Good time of year. Nothing better than going to a baseball game, seeing those green fields, those lines that are perfectly manicured on the field.
Your first baseball game was?
Oh, boy. So many years ago. I hate to admit it. So many years ago. It was a Yankee game, though, but...
Likewise?
A long time ago. I can't remember it so clear, but what I can remember is my first baseball game with my son. Taking my son to a game. And walking up to our seats and trying not to drop the hot dogs, the popcorn, the cotton candy,
I know you bought everything,
the baseball
there
gloves,
was to
the
buy,
Cracker
right?
Jacks, and my son, big smile on his face, and just priceless, as they like to say.
I can imagine Teddy's first baseball game at Yankee Stadium. He walked up to the souvenir stand and he said, "What can I get you?" And you simply said, "Yes, I'll just take it." Right, here we go. The inflatable bat, the glove, the hat, everything.
Right now, what's being given out is not bats, not popcorn, not Cracker Jacks, but a lot of right hands from both sides. Vera looking for that right hand. That's his favorite punch. And you can see Bondas looking for that right hand. What Vera has a habit of doing, watch him every once in a while, is when he sees the right hand coming, instead of blocking it, instead of slipping from it, what he'll do is he'll turn his head. He'll ride it, kind of like Roberto Duran used to do. You know, he'll anticipate it and move his head, turn his head, and try to take the force away from him. Like, that time he didn't take the force away. He got caught with a good right hand. You talk about the right hand being a big punch for Bondas tonight in the fight plan. There you see Vera leaning in with the jab, Vera throwing a slow jab there, getting caught with the right hand, and no jab from Vera, but trying to ride the right hand, not riding it right, and getting caught by Bondas. You just hope that the judges here at ringside are seeing what we're seeing. And you hope, if you're back of Bondas, and I'm sure Bondas' people, they hope that he doesn't wear down. For me, that's the key. He started off good, needed a good start. He's the less experienced fighter, never been in this kind of spotlight before. Vera has. Can Bondas be consistent? Can he keep it up and not wear down? psychologically and physically wear down late. That's going to be the key. And the key with that, Joe, would be if you're worried about someone wearing down, then it's all about pace. What kind of pace does Vera force on Bondas to maybe bring about some of that deterioration? If Vera keeps a slow pace, then Bondas has a better chance, obviously, of not evaporating like a puddle on a hot summer day.
There you go, just like that, Brian. It's easy.
29-28. Bondas says Teddy, as we're here in the midst of round number 4. Of course, you, the viewer, can join in on Facebook.
Hey, they agree with me.
Also has it 2-1.
Good job,
Bondas.
Good job, Army of fans out there. Good job.
So let's remind you how you can go about joining in and scoring along each and every week on Friday Night Fights. And you don't have to be there from the start. You can jump in at any point. You just go to Facebook, log on to the ESPN Friday Night Fight Facebook page, and click on the live scoring. And we give you 60 seconds between rounds, and we will tally that up and show you how you are scoring along from home.
We're talking about Facebook. If you're fighting Vera, you know what you have to face? You have to face that, an aggressive opponent who fights in spots. Not all round through, but in spots. But you got to deal with those spots. And right now you got those spots coming. We talked about Vera being cut over his left eye in his last fight. Guess what? I think that cut has just opened over the left eye of Vera.
Vera was placing some right hands moments ago, reached on that one, but Bondas wasn't able to fully fill the hole. And there is some blood there. You can see Bondas trying to wipe it away. Vera's like, come on, I'm having fun here. Let's keep doing this.
And again, if you're fighting Vera, you got to deal with the pressure in the spots, but only spots.
There's that right hand again.
Yeah, now the spot has stopped a little bit from Vera, the offensive spot, and it gives Bondas a chance to do this. Get back a little bit, get a reprieve a little bit, get a pit stop a little bit.
Entertaining 4th round here between these two.
Bondas turning southpaw.
Unable to connect with that left hand from that position.
Well, in the fight plan, we talked about Vera using that right hand. When he sees that cover up, he sees the cover of Bondas, he uses that right hand. And again, there he splits the guard of those earmuffs, that peekaboo defense of Bondas. The problem with Bondas, he keeps his hands up well. We said it in the fight plan, Joe, but he doesn't move his head much. So you can split the guard or you can go around the guard. Right now, Vera doing both.
Vera was getting himself into a really nice rhythm there in the midst of round number 4. Of course, a veteran middleweight, ranked #1 in the WBO, #6 in the BC, trying to put himself into even better position to land a bigger fight against a named fighter, cash a bigger paycheck. Got to get through Bondas here tonight. There's CompuBox, the power punch numbers, pretty close, 44 to 43.
That jab moving, Donatas.
I feel vindicated so far. My opening, I said that this would be a competitive fight.
And it is.
And I don't know if it'll stay that way, but it is right now. A lot of people thought Bondas had no shot. I thought that he would have a shot. But now it's going to come down.
There were people flat out dismissing this matchup. They never thought we would see what we saw in the early goings here.
I just think right now Bondas showing maybe a little bit that he's worried a little, turning southpaw, looking to pull something out of the hat by turning southpaw, maybe in his own way. That's a fighter's own polygraph test without realizing he's giving you an indicator of the truth. He turns southpaw, he's telling you I'm a little worried. I'm doing something I don't usually do. I'm a little desperate, but to me the whole key is going to be, can Bondas last down the stretch without deteriorating from the pressure of this moment, this spot, and of course an aggressive opponent. You know, Joe, Vera at 31 years of age, you know, he's quite often the older one. At this point in his career, he's the older one in his matches, but tonight, not so. 2 years younger than Bondas.
Bondas had that time off that you detailed. Comes in at 33 years old, former Lithuanian amateur star who was fighting in Europe and then came stateside in 2009. It's a double jab there. Vera came in without much cover that time. Bondas didn't make him pay the price. There's a right hand to the body by Bondas.
And again, think about spots. You know, not spots on your clothes, but spots in competition. And you see that with Vera, and that's why I gave Bondas a chance. Because Vera, you know, he's not a seek and destroy guy that's after you every second. He'll get after you, and then there'll be moments when he's not after you, when he allows you to recover, allows you to get yourself regrouped a little. And again, the blood from the bridge of the nose from that lump of scar tissue on Bonda's nose there opened up very early. I think it opened up probably in training, to be honest with you. That's why his people talked about it.
There's that right hand.
You know, I talked about earlier about Vera has a habit of rolling with right hands. He sees the right hand coming and he turns his head. And that's what he did right there. That right hand didn't land. He saw it coming, turned his head to the right, and he just rode away with it. That takes a lot of experience. That takes a lot of confidence, takes a good eye, and it takes a calmness to be able to leave yourself vulnerable, or what looks vulnerable, and then risk that you're going to have the reflexes, the timing, to ride with that punch just right. It's also a very dangerous move. You don't do it just right, instead of riding with it, well, the punch crashes home like a wave.
Early here in round 6, there is a cut off to the side of the left eye of Bondas. You see him pawing at it, crossing his right hand over as Vera comes and pressures a bit.
Because there's different ways to get away from punches. You know, Vera, he'll ride with them. He'll move his head sometimes. I mean, the basic ways to get away from punches, to defend yourself, block, move your head, use your legs.
Vera has gone out in front on Teddy Atlas's scorecard.
To me, I look at it, and here you see the fans disagreeing a little bit.
They had that 5th round almost 50-50, so it could go either way in terms of the fans.
And you know what? I don't argue with the fans. I mean, I do sometimes. But I'm not going to argue with them right there, because what they... And yell, you fans, open your windows and yell, Teddy, you're right, if I'm right. I hear you. I'm listening. I think that they gave it to him on the weight of the right hand, probably towards the end of that round. They saw a right hand landed. Well, at least they think they saw it landed by Bondas. Who knows if Vera really rode with it. But they saw a right hand landed, and they gave him the round, figuring the harder punch, rather than just the pressure from Vera, gives the round to Bondas. Again, Bondas knows that right hand's there, so he's going to keep going with it.
Vera just getting out of the way of it. Comes back with a right hand now, does Bondas.
And again, you saw Vera try to ride it, and if you're not perfect, well, you get ridden instead of doing the riding. Both looking for right hands, and that's what they're going to look for. Best punch of Vera is the right hand.
Stop punching!
The punch, as we said in the fight plan for Bondas, the right hand.
Time! Put it neutral corner,
Charlie Fitch is going to take time to have the ringside physician take a look.
The cut man for Bondas hasn't been doing a great job. Really, I mean, it's not the easiest job, but really hasn't done a lot to stem that bleeding. And that cut man would be Divas Necrasis in the corner of Bondas, but also Bondas hasn't given the cut man a lot of help by moving his head and avoiding some of those.
That helps.
Good finish by Bondas. Good round by Bondas.
ESPN Friday Night Fights is presented by Corona Extra, proud sponsor of Friday Night Fights, and as always encourages you to relax responsibly. Some of the Super Mo shots from tonight's fight card here at Turning Stone in Verona, New York. How about those ears waving like a flag in super slow-mo after the impact of a right hand?
Yeah, well, we're part of Disney, right? So Disney must love it, you know, Dumbo.
Yeah, right.
So all about the ears.
This is the other end of the spectrum from the Magic Kingdom in the Disney corporate chain.
You never know what you're going to get with me.
We're just a hard left turn away from Frontierland.
Yes, sir. You always are. Or a hard left hook away. Or, for that matter, a straight right hand, which Bondas has been using pretty well tonight to be right in the mix of this fight. And again, I said it from the beginning, it's about the endurance. I think the psychological and the physical endurance of Bondas. If he can be okay in that department, he's got a chance to pull off what would be a big, big upset. One of our favorite people, Billy Krakenberger, who's a big handicapper in Las Vegas, one of the best in the world at handicapping, doing his business.
Body.
He gave us a call earlier today and said that gave me a call, said the line in Vegas on this fight was Vera was a 13-to-1 favorite. So that would
significant.
that would make it a big upset.
Hands up, speed, baby.
Come on.
So there's the spots. I don't know what the referee's doing.
That was a little bit low.
He didn't
What
get in
is the
fast
referee
enough.
doing?
Charlie Fitch was
Get
giving
out of there!
and he didn't come in fast enough. You
We're
can't
watching him fight here.
So one thing you can't do is hesitate as a referee.
Come on. It's a good fight. Don't get in the way of it. That's what a good referee understands.
And use that jab there, just touching him.
Bonda's doing a good job, despite the cut man hasn't done a real good job to stem that bleeding, but Bonda's doing a hell of a job. And there's that right hand we talked about again.
Good work by
And there it is again.
Back with it.
Yeah, because there's a flaw in Vera. He throws that jab, he reached in a little bit, he's slow recovering with that left hand, and there is a window open for the right hand, and Bondas has been going in that window.
I'll tell you, Teddy, a far better than expected, anticipated main event. You said you thought it could be a good one. Boy, it's turning into that down the stretch here, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it is. And again, it's going to come down. Now it's going to come down, of course, to the cut. But I don't see those cuts in a bad area where they would look to stop it. You know, it's not in an area where you worry about the future of Bondas. So
No, vision's not impaired
it's
at
a
all.
matter of Bondas dealing with it.
3 rounds to go
Good
here.
round for Bondas.
Right now, we see the medical ringside physicians in the corner of Bondas as the promoters have also come up onto the apron. They're gathering the scorecards. We're getting the sense, we're looking for clarity ringside, that they're stopping the fight. Now, we don't know if they're stopping it going to the scorecards for a technical decision or not. Let's listen in.
See, to me, I don't
eyes
see,
are wide open.
I don't see why they would stop it. I mean, this is boxing. This is not the opera. I mean, I want to look out for somebody as much as anyone else, but they understand the risk. These are fighters. Just like football players take a risk when they go out on the field. I mean, those cuts are not in an area where you would think it would interfere with the future safety of Bondas.
All right, Charlie Fitch, Teddy, and you probably overheard my conversation. I said, Charlie, the referee, what's going on? He said, I went over. I said, can you see? He said, not so good. So he feels that the fighter has expressed to him that he cannot see, that he didn't answer the question properly the way he wanted, and he stopped the fight.
Well, if I'm the referee, I want to be a little bit more detailed than that. I want to be a little bit more involved and follow that. When you first get back to your corner and there's blood in your eyes from all the splattering from the blood over the bridge of the nose, no, you can't see. But once it's cleared, I'd like to ask that question. Can you see? Can you go on? Do you want to go on? That's what I would have wanted to see as a follow-up.
And now you can see saying, I'm fine. Let's go back and listen to the exchange between Fitch and Bondas after that last round. Here it is.
He's saying he can't see anymore. Can you see? Not good. He said not good. That's it. It's over. No. You can't see.
See, I wonder if the fighter really understood what he was saying, because you gotta, to be a good referee, you gotta understand you're dealing with an athlete that is in a difficult situation. He's under duress. You know, he's in a fighting situation. It's not a normal situation. You're asking him, can you see? He's honestly telling you, not too good right now. And then you should ask him again. Are you telling me? Are you telling me you can't see good enough to go on? Are you telling me you don't want to go on? To me, you got to go a little deeper because of the circumstances. You have a boxer who's basically at warfare. He's in the ring. He's in combat. You know, no, I can't see. I got blood in my eyes, but I want to fight. Let this guy get the towel out of my eye, and you know what? I'll be okay. So you wonder whether or not the referee went far enough with that, or, quite honestly, if the fighter was looking for a way out by saying, I can't see.
Here's Ray Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Charlie Fitch has put a stop to this contest at the end of the 7th round for your winner by technical knockout and still the NABO middleweight champion, Brian the Warrior Verona.
Crowd here in Verona booing the official particulars because they know the effort that was being put forth by Bondas, and it was a good fight and they wanted more of it. We'll have more when we return. So Teddy Atlas had Donatas Bondas on top at the time of the stoppage. Brian Vera comes up with the controversial TKO win. Spirited effort. Let's listen in to more with referee Charlie Fitch.
I asked him if he could see. He said he couldn't see. So I called the doctor up. I said, can you see? Not so good. He wanted out. He wanted out of the fight. So I stopped the fight.
He didn't understand you. So it's a technical knockout?
Technical knockout.
He didn't understand you.
Technical knockout. Yeah.
He didn't understand you.
I believe that he did.
You don't speak Lithuanian, do you?
Yeah.
He didn't understand you.
I said
Yeah,
I
good
can.
He didn't understand you.
Not I can't, but
He didn't understand you.
I can.
No, it's over.
The line there by Bobby Hitz. Do you speak Lithuanian? Donatas Bondas, the Lithuanian native, takes the loss tonight. A spirited effort, though. Brian Vera, a win here, 23rd of his career. For Teddy Atlas and Bernardo Osuna, I'm Joe Tessitore. We'll see you next week on Friday Night Fights. Sports Center is right now. Enjoy that, everybody.